Hello everyone, today we're going to be showing you how to rewire a fencing blade. I'm going to be doing it on the foil, and later on I'll show you one or two modifications that you'll need to do in rewiring an épée.
Okay, so before you do anything else, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to strip all of the old glue out of the blade. So you can do this either using one of these X-Acto knives and running it along the groove until you get what looks like this coming out of it, or you could use a rotating drill bit like this. Either way works. One just involves a bit more muscle. Make sure you're using safety goggles and gloves when you're doing it.
Okay, today I'm going to be showing you using mainly all-star equipment here. Leon Paul is very similar. So what I've done here is I've fed the wire through a new tip just a little bit. You don't want to feed the entire thing through. The blue you're seeing there is some thread lock glue. You don't need to apply this. If you have it, it just helps with the tip sticking to the blade. So what you're going to do is you're going to stick the tip on and start to screw it in. And once you feel some resistance, make sure the wire can get through. Then you're going to tighten it using a wrench. Okay, so now once the new barrel is secured to the blade, you've tightened it, you can feed the rest of the wire through. Okay, it's important that we didn't feed it through all the way in the beginning to make sure that if it broke, we wouldn't be breaking near the tip of the wire. So once you've fed it all the way through, you want to get that tip into the blade. There are equipment you can buy to help you push it in. Today I'm just going to be using a cotton swab. So get the cotton swab into the blade, pull on the wire and push. And just take a quick look in to make sure that it's gone down and it's still good. Okay, so the next bit that you're going to do is make sure that the wire is roughly all straight. So especially near the tip, you're going to have some kinks, so just try and straighten those out. And you're going to want to try and feed the wire into the groove of the blade, okay? So okay, so I've pulled the wire straight and I've fed it into the groove. Now there are some parts that are still sticking out of the groove, but that's okay because we're going to fix that in a second. And what I've done at the end is I've pulled it, wrapped it around the end of the blade, and then put some tape there just to secure it. So hopefully most of your wire is in the groove. Now the next step is going to be gluing the wire in. And in order to do that, you're going to want to put a bend on the blade because when you're using the blade, it's going to bend occasionally. So you're going to want it so that the wire is set into a blade that is already bent, so the wire won't snap when the blade bends. So you're going to use this. It's a chain with two little caps on it. You could also use a door frame if you don't have a chain. You're going to put one end on the tip, and then one end on the other end of the blade. So that now, as you can see, the wire is mostly all in the groove of the blade, and the blade is fully bent. And now we're going to glue it.
So the exception is that when fixing a Leon Paul épée, you will have two wires that run down the blade, and you'll also need to secure the wire into the blade using these black clips along the blade as shown here.
Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take super glue, nothing scientific, just super glue that you can get at any local store. And you're going to put dabs of it along the blade so that it runs into the groove, okay? So the important parts of this are that the glue doesn't run into the tip, because if you ever have to rewire the blade, it's going to make it nearly impossible to get this barrel off of the rest of the tip. So you want to have it so the blade is upright like this. You'll put a dab of glue on. And let that run down into the blade and into the wire. Okay, that'll secure the wire into the blade. And you'll do that every few positions along the blade. Just let the glue run down. Okay, you'll do it all the way down to the bottom. And then what you can do is if you want to spread it out, you can use a cotton swab and spread the glue out along. Okay, and just keep an eye out for areas where it's discolored and you can see the glue hasn't run. You can put another dab on there. It's also important when you flip it over to do this part to make sure the glue doesn't run down into the grip. So you would just flip it over for that part and do the exact same thing here, where you put glue just about at the end of the blade and let it run down. Okay, so you just do that along the entire blade. Okay, so now that we've glued roughly along the entire blade and let it sit, we're going to put it upright like this, so that the glue can run down the blade rather than up into the tip. We're going to let it sit for about an hour before we approach it again. Okay, so once the glue is dried, you're going to take the blade out of the chain and just take a look along it. Make sure there's no parts of wire sticking up. If there is, you can try and massage that part of the wire back down, put the blade into the chain again, and then glue that specific part just to keep the wire down. So this looks pretty good here. So the next step will be that you take the tape off of this end and you straighten out this part of the wire. What you're going to do is you're going to take one of these black wire tubings. You're going to feed the wire through it all the way down. Okay, once you've fed the black tubing through, you want to make sure it goes into this groove of the blade right here just a little bit. Then you're going to cut off any excess wire that you have at the end of the black tubing here. Just make sure you have enough black tubing that you could reliably cut some off if you needed to fix the wire later. So about this much is good here. So I leave a little bit extra cut here. Then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to strip the insulation off this so that it'll conduct with the blade. There's a lot of ways you could do this. You could try and manually scrape it off, or you could just use a lighter and burn it off. So now the blade should be able to conduct. Just wipe off a bit of that black gunk there. And that's basically it. That's how you rewire the blade. The last things that you'll need to do are to assemble the tip and the rest of the blade, which we can show in another video. So I hope you learned something. Thank you very much.